Hello, my name is Jane. I am an accredited Baptist minister and I run I'm the lead for the Baptist Deliverance study group. That's a group of people taken from across the Baptist family, and we look at cases which may require deliverance ministry. We're there to support Baptist ministers, to provide them with education, prayer support, training, and we also look at cases. We have a panel of experts which look at the cases and feed back to me, and then we put together the findings and we come up with an action plan for the person who needs deliverance. And by deliverance ministry, we mean a ministry which is aimed at combating what we might call a preternatural force or entity. So some would call these demons. I would be amongst those in the sense that demons are fallen angels, and that seems to be what they are as far as I can tell. But the number of years I've been doing this now, I would have to say that I come across a lot of things that I find difficult to put names to. I don't think it's possible that we can fully understand some of the things that are involved in our cases, and I don't think that we really need to get too hung up about that. I think deliverance ministry is about bringing love and compassion to somebody who is suffering. And I think that that's much more important than trying to dissect the strange phenomena that we come across. It's much more important to try and bring rescue. And I think it's very important to remember that you as a deliverance minister are never ever the person who is going to save somebody else. You are not going to be able to bring them to a place of peace and healing by giving them yourself. You are bringing Christ to that person, and it is He who will deliver them. You are just the instrument. So the first requirement in deliverance ministry, I think, is the humility to know that you are just a vessel in His hand, and you don't have to understand everything that you see. You just have to be obedient to the leading of the Spirit in doing what He is asking you to do, to be available to that person so that He can work through you and bring resolution. I worry that this area of ministry is not being taken seriously enough by the church. The Western 21st century church finds it very difficult to engage openly with any of the concepts or debates that we need to have around deliverance ministry. There are more and more cases presenting, and at the same time, many in the church are looking the other way because they just don't want to get entangled in all the strangeness, the complexity of the safeguarding and legal issues which surround these cases now. So they would just rather not have an involvement in it. And I would rather not have an involvement in it. When Jesus first said He wanted me to do this, I said, you have got to be kidding. I know from first-hand experience what is out there, because many years ago, before I became a Christian, I was a spiritualist and I was a medium. And when I first gave my life to Christ, I found there was a great struggle and a lot of attack around my commitment. And I required deliverance ministry myself. So I know how awful the situation is when you require that, and how desperately alone you feel if you approach the church and the church says, I'm sorry, but we're just not able to help you. Because you've got nowhere else to go then. You can't get what you need from a doctor. You can't get what you need from a psychiatrist because you need prayer. And this ministry has been with the church since the very beginnings of the church. Jesus delivered people, and Jesus taught his disciples to deliver people. And it seems to me that scripture is quite clear that he intended those that came after to be able to have this ministry. So if the church is determined to look the other way and say, well, all these people just need to get psychiatric help, then they are condemning many people to a life of torment. And you unless you've experienced the kind of torment I'm talking about, I think it would be easy to just dismiss it, but it is a living hell to be beset by preternatural entities. Can you imagine? I mean, you can't tell your doctor, you can't tell most people. They would just think that you were mad. So we need this ministry. And I'm just making this video because I want to put a plea out there to the church. Please take this ministry seriously. I know it's difficult. I know it's you know, some of your colleagues will think that you've lost your senses, or that you belong, you're in a time warp and you belong in the medieval age. But the fact is that, like it or not, demons exist. They do. I mean, I've encountered them. I've encountered them in my own life before I became a Christian, and I encounter them when I help other people in deliverance ministry. That's what I encounter. You know, so either I'm completely mad or there are demons out there. And we have the means. I mean, it's you know, we don't need to be afraid of that because we have the means to deal with it. Christ deals with it, but he can only do that if we make ourselves available as church leaders. We have to be available for him to work through and to use. And to deliberately turn away from that is to condemn a lot of people to a life of misery and suffering. And really, that's all I wanted to say. So, you know, I'm sorry, let's wake up and face the fact that, does Satan exist? Yeah, he does. I'm sorry, but he does. He's out there, guys, and he's got quite a lot of followers, and he's capable of inflicting quite a serious assault against human beings. But his adversary, Christ, is far greater, far greater. So do we need to worry about it? No, not providing that we're willing to accept that it's there and we're willing to accept that Christ can deal with it. But he does need us to partner with him. So, yeah, I guess what I'm saying is, wake up, church. And if you're watching this and you are suffering from one of these situations, then and you are not getting anywhere from the church, and the church is saying, I'm sorry, we don't really believe in that, we don't really feel that we can help you with that, I'm really, really sorry, because they should be saying that they can. That's what they should be saying. So let's all wake up and let's get this thing underway. Let's decide that we're going to say to Satan, right, you are now going to go back into your allocated space. You are going to have to come under the authority and lordship of Christ, whether you like it or not, because that is what is written. That is how it's going to be done. And thank you for listening.